Discussing national movement in India, partition and independence, the final phase. So, dear students, it was a Second World War period. So, in Second World War period, India was a colony for Britishers. There we have seen it is India also taking part in a Second World War. This is the words of the Britishers, right? We see here actually what it is when Second World War, before the Second World War, here the British government passed an act, that is Government of India Act 1935. This is the act, dear students. Government of India Act 1935. This act says that election should be conducted for the provinces, that is assemblies, and to the central assembly also. As Indian people were fighting for autonomy, that is freedom, as Indian people demanded their self-rule, Britishers had introduced this Act in 1935. So here, as per this act, elections could be organized at provinces and at a central level. Provinces in the sense states level. For this, the right to vote is very essential, right? So here, one important another act also there, that is Government of India Act 1909. 1909 Act. Okay, this is Minto Marley reforms. We call it Minto Marley reforms. Understand? Minto Marley reforms. We call the principles, the what you call the Act 1909 Act. Understand? This is called Minto Marley reforms. So what is that? We'll discuss. Here, what I'm saying, that the Government of India Act is permitted the Congress party to contest in elections, and if it wins, it can form the government. Understand? So for that, right to vote is very essential. For conducting elections and electing the representatives, we need to give right to vote to the people. So for organizing elections to the provinces, the British government, as per the Government of India Act, right to vote was given to 12 percentage of the population of the provinces. 12 percentage of the population of the provinces. Then at national level, that is at the central level, right to vote was given only 1 percentage of the population for central assemblies, right? So this is the thing here, understand? So anyway, here elections were conducted in 1937. 1937. In that elections, we see the Congress contested at 11 provinces. In that 11 provinces, out of 11 provinces, Congress had secured majority in 8 provinces. So in 8 provinces, Congress had set up its government under the British governor. It means that in 8 provinces where Congress formed its ministries, it worked under the supervision of the British government. There is no complete authority for these 8 Congress ministries to rule according to themselves. They have to rule according to the British governor. Understand? This is the what British made through Government of India Act 1935. Understand? So before to this Government of India Act 1935, okay, what I'm saying, it is before to 1935. So there what happened in India, most of the Congress leaders, they felt that in the war time they decided to support for the British, as we people are against to the what to call this Hitler and fascism, which is formed by the Italy, that is Mussolini instead. So here we see that the Congress decided to support the British here during the Second World War time. Most of the Congress members, they were on the side of the Britain. They decided that to fight against the Axis powers in the Second World War. So we have discussed that there are reasons for supporting and not supporting to the British. Why we should support the British? Because it is fighting against the aggressive countries, which are Italy, Japan, and Germany. These are based on aggression. They believe in dictatorship. They want to conquer the world. So we are not interested in totalitarianism, dictatorial rule, and we hate. That means we do not accept the ideologies of fascism and Nazism. So from this point, we need to support the Britain, right? Why we have to support the Britain? And we have reasons that not to support the Britain also, because Britain was a colonial master of India, right? That is the thing. So this is during the World War second time instant. So during this Second World War time, Britishers declared that India would take part in Second World War without consulting to the Indians, and this made the Congress ministers to feel unhappy and sad. Congress members have formed their government in 8 provinces. So they are the part of the British government, right? So they need to, British had to consult the 8 Congress ministries, which were part of the British government, while taking decision that India would to take part in World War II. But what happened here? They even not asked the 8 Congress ministries regarding their opinion that will they support Second World War or not. That's the first thing. Second thing is that here they clearly stated that they won't give independence to India. That is known to Congress also. Congress knew that British will not give independence to India, and knowing to that, Congress decided to support British in a Second World War instead. And this is known to the British also, that Congress is taking part. Congress, what you call, supporting to the Britishers in Second World War, knowing that British not giving independence to India, because most of the Congress members expected that British would see the double standards of India. That means we know that British was not ready to give independence. It was not ready to give up the India as a colony instead. And we too know that it is not ready to give independence to us. Then also we supporting to what British. That shows our strength, right? And moreover, here Britishers had built their empire with hard efforts. So the British government was not ready to dismantle its largest empire in the world, right? But we see during the Second World War in Britain, there was a coalition government. There were many political parties, and one party, Conservative Party. Conservative Party leader was Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was not ready to give independence to India, who belongs to Conservative Party, and he was the Prime Minister of Britain at the time during the Second World War time. It's a coalition government. This government was formed in Britain with various political parties, right? And the major political party, Conservative Party. Another party also there, Labour Party. Labour Party was ready to declare independence to India. So we people, that is Congress ministers, they felt that Labour Party also there in British government, so it would support India, and it will try that to declare independence to India by the British government. Understand? So that the Congress decided to support what to call the British in the Second World War. Understand? And Britishers here, they decided to give dominion status to India. Understand? It is different. Understand? What is dominion status here? Understand? Dominion status in the sense India is allowed to have its own government, but it would be under British Empire. Understand? That means it is not full freedom. Indians are allowed to form their own government, and that government would run under the British government, under the British crown, that is the British Empire. Understand? That is called dominion status. That means dominion status refers to giving chance to Indians to have their own government, and that government will be under British crown. This is called dominion status. And we were not interested in dominion status. We want a complete freedom. So the Congress demanded there should be immediately national government should be set up at India at national level, in India at national level. And this was objected by the British. Understand? When Congress demanded that we are giving support to British, the Congress declared that we Indian people were giving support to British in Second World War, right? So after the end of the Second World War, there should be independence to India completely. That was a demand of Congress, and this was not accepted by the British. British refused to give what to call complete independence to India. Understand? The British was not interested to listen to the voice of the Congress, and here we see that Congress felt unhappy. Understand? As British refused to promise to give independence to Indians after the end of the Second World War. Understand? As British failed, that means British refused to allow the Indians to have their own government after the end of the Second World War. This promise was refused by Britishers. So when Britishers refused these promises, what happened? The Congress ministries which were set up government in 1937 elections. I'm going to take that. Okay, in 1937 in 8 provinces congress ministries were formed, right? So these congress ministers felt that unhappy, and they decided to walk out from the government. That means they resigned. Okay, where in 8 provinces where congress had set up their government, there the congress stepped down from its government. Understand? It happened what to call in 1939 October. Understand? I'll take you to there. Okay, in 1939. Understand? Okay, in 1937 8 congress governments were formed. By October 1939, those uh, 8 congress ministries, they resigned for the what you call from the power, and they stepped out of the power. Understand? And here another important point, that why did Britishers refuse to uh, give promise for Congress to frame their own government? That is a one point here. Understand? Because actually Britishers were not interested to give independence to India, right? And Congress is a national party. This was representing to all Indians. It was very popular. So Britishers want to decrease the status and popularity of the Congress. Instead, so Britishers want to find out one reason that why they were not ready to give independence to India. So they searched the way, and they found that saying Congress was not representing to all Indians. Instead, it was not representing to all Indians. That what to call, it is stated by the British government that Congress was not a party representing to all the people. Understand? Here it is there. The British objected. Understand? Look at here. I'll show that. British what to call stated that here the Congress British objected that they have to protect the interest of several other communities. Okay, whereas Congress is a party of Hindus. This is raised by the Britishers. The Britishers stated that Congress is a party of Hindus. Understand? It's a party of the what? Hindus. And there is a responsibility on the British government to protect the interest of other communities also. Understand? And the British stated that Congress is not representing to all Indians, and it is not representing to the Muslims also. Understand? They stated that Muslims are the minority people, and for their interest, Congress is not showing any interest. Here, Britishers claimed that Congress is ignoring the interest of many Indians, and it is a responsibility of the British government to protect the interest of Muslims. Understand? This is one reason uh, uh, Britishers has raised to make the Congress party unpopular. Understand? Anyway, here the government want that there should not be disturbance from the Indian freedom struggle during the Second World War time. Understand? There, the Congress was fighting for the what complete independence. We Indian people also, with the support of the Congress party, raising the freedom struggle, whereas the British want to be in Second World War without any disturbance. So to crush the Indian freedom struggle, then the Britishers has passed some special powers. Then their special powers were given for Britishers army. That what you call Britishers, they taken British government, the British Parliament passed some special war powers. Understand? Here it is there. Understand? I'll show you that. Just a bit. It is what you call special war powers. See, special wartime powers. Understand? Wartime powers are given to the what to call army to maintain law and order, so that the British could focus in Second World War. Whoever oppose the British government, they will be sentenced to the jail immediately. Understand? Or they may be kept for long time in the jail without going to the court. Understand? And there is no right to people that to speak against the British government. British government removed freedom of speech during the Second World War time, because the British want that there should not be any disturbance for British during the Second World War time, because British want to focus in Second World War time. So there is a disturbance from the Indian freedom struggle. So to crush the Indian freedom struggle, British have passed some special wartime powers to the British army instead. So this was the thing instead. So when British were in the war, the Congress decided to walk out from the water. Those 8 ministers, it happened there. Understand? So the Congress ministers resigned in 1939. Then who will represent the people of the country at the time? Instead, now the British targeted the Congress. The British aim is to what? Decrease the popularity of the Congress. Instead, so for this, the British followed a policy to weaken the Congress, and to decrease the popularity of the Congress. Britishers have followed a policy that is called a divide and rule policy. Which policy? Divide and rule policy they followed to make Congress weak and unpopular. Understand? So how did they follow divide and rule policy? We will see here. Understand? So for that, we will go to the water Muslim League instead. Dear students, look at here Muslim League. It's a party founded in what to call 1906. Listen very carefully. It's a party. Muslim League is a party formed in 1906, and this party founded to protect the interests of Muslim landlords in Uttar Pradesh. Many of the Muslim landlords were suffering to get their rights on the lands. So, to protect the rights of the Muslim landlords on lands in Uttar Pradesh, that is United Province, there one party was founded in 1906, and that was a Muslim League. This party was confined means it was limited in United Province only. This party, that is a Muslim League party, worked for protecting the interest of Muslim lords of UP. That means it was confined to only United Province. Okay, it worked for the United Province only up to 1930. Up to 1930. Listen very carefully. That means it was not a party to protect the interest of all the Muslims. It focused to protect the interest of only Muslim landlords in United Province. Okay, that means it's a small party, right? So here the British decided that to weaken the Congress, and to unpopular the Congress, British started giving support to the Muslim League instead. Muslim League, which was a small party, and that was somewhere in Uttar Pradesh instead. So intentionally, Britishers given support to Muslim League and brought this Muslim League party against the what? Congress party instead, right? When in 1937 elections were declared, just now we discussed now, in 1937 when elections were discussed, started here in 1937. Before 1937, there what you call British government announced Government of India Act in 1935. Right, as per 1935 Act, elections would be conducted at provinces and at central. Right, the parties are allowed to contest in elections, and winning parties can form the government. Right, so here in this issue, Britishers pulled Muslim League out, which is at Uttar Pradesh, that is a United Province. The Muslim League was only in Uttar Pradesh. This party was brought to the level of Indian National Congress instead, that is INC instead. Intentionally, the Britishers started focusing towards Muslim League instead. Here, it demanded that the British should create separate seats for in all councils for Muslims. Why? The Muslim League, with the support of the Britishers, stated that most of the people in Indian population belongs to Hindus. Majority people are Hindus. So, if elections are conducted, then Hindus will contest in elections. Many people belonging to Hindu community will vote for Hindu representatives. So, there the government will be formed with Hindus only, in which there is no representation to Muslim population. This is the question raised by the Muslim League. Understand? Which is a small party confined to Uttar Pradesh, that is United Province. Uttar Pradesh at the time was called United Province. So it was confined to United Province, which was a Muslim League. And this party was brought to the level of Congress party by the support of Britishers. Understand? Britishers created a division between Hindus and Muslims by supporting to Muslim League and raising that Muslim League what should fight for the what protecting the interest of the Muslims. They stated that Congress is not protecting the interest of Muslims. So it argued that Muslim League argued that a majority people in India in many areas were Hindus. Understand? Majority. It argued that majority people in many areas were Hindus. So many more chances will come for Hindus in getting success in the councils if elections are conducted. Understand? So if this happen, then Muslim would not be able to protect their own interest. Understand? So Muslim League demanded some special seats, some separate seats should be reserved in all the councils of the provinces where Muslim people can vote and Muslim members can contest. This is a question raised by Muslim League. Understand? After the what to call 1935 Act was passed. So before uh, implementing the elections in 1937 with the demand of the Muslim League, the British government introduced the reforms of Minto Marley. Understand? The reforms there, the reforms of Minto Marley as per in the form of 1909 Act. Minto Marley, these were the viceroys in 1909. So they've given certain recommendations, some suggestions to overcome the what to call the differences between the seats distribution in the councils and the at the center. So in as per 1909 Act, separate seats, that means separate electorates, were provided for Muslims, in which Muslims can vote for Muslim representatives. Understand? As per the 1909 Act. Okay, this was raised by Muslim League leader Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Muhammad Ali Jinnah was the leader of Muslim League Party, and he raised this demand with the support of Britishers. Understand? That means Britishers raised the what Muslim League to the level of the Congress Party, and they stated that Congress is not protecting the interest of Muslims. So there is need of a political party which supports and protects the interest of Muslim people, Muslim masses. So this was the what to call a policy Britishers introduced, what we call divide and rule. They divided Indian people into Hindus and Muslims, and they stated that Congress is a party of Hindus, whereas Congress demanded that it's a party at national level. It is protecting the interest of many communities. Anyway, the Congress accepted to the demand of the Muslim League, and separate seats were provided to the Congress. Sorry, separate seats were provided to the Muslim League. Understand? And Congress stated that it is a national-wide party. It is not only for Hindus but also representing to the Muslims, because it's not fighting for the protecting the interest of Hindus. Congress is fighting for the full-fledged freedom. That means it want freedom for India. It means it is protecting the interest of all Indians, right? So Congress stated that it's a national party and it's not the party of only Hindus. So Congress also allowed to contest in the reserved seats for Muslims. So as per this 1909 Act, separate seats were provided for Muslim leagues, and in that seats Congress also allowed to contest. So after this, elections were conducted. In that elections, that is in 1937 elections. In 1937 elections, 482 Muslim seats were allotted for Muslims in all the provinces. Right? In 482 Muslim seats, Muslim League contested in 1937 elections, but it got only 102 seats out of 482. It got 102 seats. Indian National Congress also contested in 1937 elections in the seats reserved for Muslims, that is 58 Muslim seats. Indian National Congress contested in 58 Muslim seats. In that it got 26 seats. How many? 26 seats Indian National Congress got out of 58 Muslim seats reserved. Okay, saying that Congress is a national-wide party. Instead, dear students, one important point you have to understand here: the Muslim League, which contested in 482 seats but got one or two, right? It means out of 100 percentage of the Muslim population, Muslim League got 4.4 Muslim votes. How much? 4.4 Muslim votes captured by Muslim League in 1937 elections. Understand? It means that many of the Muslims were not on the side of Muslim League. Right or not? If all the Muslims were on the side of Muslim League, then Muslim League should have to capture that 482 seats, right? It had to capture 482 Muslim seats, but it got one or two seats, right or not? It means that Muslim League party was not popular, right? Only 4.4 percentage of Muslim people voted for Muslim League. Remaining 90, approximately 90, 5.6 percentage of Muslim votes secured by Congress. Understand? It was not by the Muslim League. Understand? Then this Muslim League party succeeded getting majority in United Province. Dear students, listen very carefully. It got secure majority in United Province, Bombay, Madras. In these three areas, Muslim League party was strong, whereas in Bengal, understand, Bengal, northwest frontiers, okay, Punjab, even in Sindh also. Today, these regions, what we call Pakistan, understand, what we call Pakistan, where many of the people are Muslims, right? In these regions, listen very carefully. In Bengal, northwest frontiers, okay, Punjab and Sindh, here many of the Muslims, only 4.4 percentage of seats it got. Very important point, my dear students, I am raising here, that what you know, it in a United Province, Bombay, Madras, Muslim League was strong, whereas Bengal, northwest frontiers, Punjab and Sindh, here it was failed to get the majority. Understand? In 1937 elections. Okay. Muslim League, which got only 4.4 percentage of Muslim seats in 1937 elections, by 1946 elections, after 10 years in this, in 1946 elections, Muslim League became very popular and succeeded getting many of the Muslim seats, all the Muslim seats captured by Muslim League in 1946 elections. So something happened, right, in between 1937 to 1947. 1937 to 1947, something happened which made Congress party unpopular. What happened to Congress in 1937 to 1947? What happened to Muslim population in 1937 to 1947? We'll see